It's just loading.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go. So today I'm very excited to actually be joined by a comedy legend and someone I've wanted on my show for a very long time, Mr. Tim Healy. Hello.
Hi, that was a nice introduction. Legend, that's what we call him, the legend.
Legend. So I've spoke to you numerous times, but never actually got the opportunity to interview you. And I last met you at the event with Sir David Jason, where you were one of the guest speakers. So how was that for you to be invited to his event?
Well, I was very flattered. He just rang me up and asked me, and it's extraordinary now when you think about the times we're in now. Of course, I must have shook, I don't know, 2,000 people's hands in
Yeah.
2 days. Give all these women a kiss on the cheek and put your arm around people and that, and sadly, we can't do that now. And it was just before all this problem started, wasn't it? So, yeah, very strange. It seems very strange now.
So he called you up personally to ask you to take part?
He did, actually, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very, very, he's a good friend of mine now, of course, and we have such a great time on Still Open All Hours. It's just a great, fun job, silly, daft, silly,
Yeah.
harmless family comedy, and so yeah, it was a good couple of days, and quite uplifting to see fans like that, people who want to see that sort of thing.
I mean, I wanted to go back to the very beginning for you. Was acting something that you always knew that you wanted to actually do? Was that the career that, as a kid, you dreamed of doing?
Yeah, from being very young, because my father was a very keen amateur actor, and I used to watch him in all sorts of productions, and I used to help out backstage. And when I was 11 years old, he asked me to play a part in Finion's Rainbow, a musical, and I played Henry, this little boy, and I fell in love with it then, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And then of course there weren't any working class actors, as it were. Really, you had to be from the upper classes or the middle class, really, and it stuck with me. And I was a welder in a factory, and then I joined the Territorial Army in the Parachute Regiment. And I got really very, very fit. And eventually I just decided to pack this in, and I just threw the gear down, and I went off to Durham Technical College on a drama course. Wow. And that was it. And while I was there, I had to get a job because I couldn't get a grant. I was 20. So I got a job as a court jester at Langley Castle in Northumberland.
Wow.
That gave me my equity card. You had to have an equity card in those days to work as a professional. And I was working as a professional doing these banquets, and we were the entertainment. And then when I finished college, a lot of luck in this, I was around at the right time. They were looking for actors at the Live Theatre Company, and I became one of the founder members of the Live Theatre Company in 1973. And that was it. That changed my life. Then I became a professional actor there.
And I mean, for you, I think you became the household name that we know of you when you got your part in Our Vida Same Pet. Now, tell me how you got that part, and when you first read the scripts, did you know it was going to be something special at the time?
Well, reading the scripts, it was a wonderful thing to read, but we didn't know any of the I hadn't seen anybody else that was going to be cast or anything. But I'd just done a movie with Dennis Waterman called the World Cup, A Captain's Tale, about the first World Cup, which was West Auckland, of course, and County Durham were the first team to ever win the World Cup. And I had a big speech in this, which really got them to win the World Cup. Hoggy's speech sort of gave them this sort of drive to get stuck in the World Cup. And luckily, time and again, the ITV saw me in this film, and then I got sort of interviewed for Dennis's part in Obedient Pet, and that was it. Changed my life.
And again, it's one of those shows that have become so legendary. It doesn't matter how old you are. People growing up now, and my age, and people a little bit older, they know of the show. So, were you surprised with the show's success and how legendary it's actually become?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the time, we had no idea. I mean, we had great fun, obviously, doing it. And I think it goes back to the writing, of course. Dick Clement and Neil Friendly had a fantastic history with the Lesley lads and Forage, and it was a new thing. It was television wasn't like that before then. It was the first look at casting real, raw people, and it changed television in a way, I suppose. Even then, before that, you would get people doing terrible accents in the 60s and stuff, where you had middle class, then working class people. And it gave ordinary people a chance, I suppose. It tended to change things, you know what I mean?
And recently, we've seen shows such as Gavin and Stacey actually make a comeback, and a really successful comeback because people love nostalgia. So, do you think it's one of those shows that could actually come back in the present day? Could you see a revival opportunity for it?
Well, it would be pensioners abroad now. Yeah, apart from that's everything. James Paul's not quite 65 yet, but everybody else is older than that. No, I was just so lucky to be given that part.
And I mean, I've got to say, for me, one of my favourite shows of all time, I watch the box sets, honestly, probably 3 to 4 times a year, is obviously Benidorm. Now, it's such a well-written show. It was something different and something that we could all relate to, going abroad and, seeing people that you've been on holiday before, making friends. Now, I wanted to go back. How did you actually get the part in the show? Did you have to audition or did it happen organically? How did it all come about?
Well, it was a mistake, really. I was at the I was at the TV Quick Awards. I think it was 2006, maybe, and I was asked to present an award to the best newcomer. And Benidorm that year, they'd just done the first series. It won best comedy. And afterwards, you have a party, you'll have a few drinks and stuff. And I was chatting with Darren Litton, the writer, and I said, "Oh, I think it's great, congratulations." Shook his hand, and he said, "Would you like to do one?" I said, "I'd like to. I'd love to do one." And by this time, we'd had a few beers. So, he said, "Well, what would you like to play?" I said, "Oh, well," I said something people would never expect me to be. I don't know, a transvestite. I said, something like that, a transvestite that murders somebody. I said, someone people would never expect me to be. So anyway, I forgot all about it. I had a bit of a sore head the next year, as you do after these dues. And 6 weeks later, a script arrived. And here I am, I'm a transvestite. I thought, oh my God, I'm playing a transvestite. Well, then I had, of course, think about how I was going to do it. Because I didn't want to play him feminine, or I didn't want to sort of offend the gay community. So I thought, well, how am I going to play this guy? And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll be the butchest transvestite you've ever seen. And I've thought of people like Les Dawson, some of my heroes, Tommy Cooper, and I tried to put all these people into the character. For instance, Les would never ever be a woman, that fantastic double act he did with Roy Barraclough. It was never a question of Les being a woman, And my laugh was Lesley is almost a little bit like Tommy Cooper, So I tried to put all these people into one part. Dick Emery couldn't walk. I remember I loved Dick Emery as a kid, and in fact he couldn't walk when he saw heels. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll use that and I'll be able to walk, So really it was a man in the wrong clothes, but with a big heart, The character became very popular. So yeah, it seemed to work.
And I mean, I remember because the first time we actually saw you before you became a regular was when the Oracle was on a dating website and he was going on a date and then he's in this nice restaurant and behind him he could hear, "Hello then." And he kind of looked around and he didn't know what to expect. And that's the first glimpse we got of got of Lesley. So when did the decision come in to actually make you a series regular? Did you get such a good response on your first series that they wanted you back?
Yeah, that was the, it's become a classic scene now, I suppose. And the way Johnny played it as well was brilliant, because it was just complete fear. He was terrified. He was expecting sort of Raquel Welch to turn up on it. He ends up with me. And I always remember it's one of the outtakes where he said, I don't want to see you in the gear, I don't want you to see you in your gear, because nobody's seen me in the gear yet. So we rehearsed without my gear on. So when we did the first take, I walked up behind him and said, you must be Jeff, I'm Lesley. he just tried laughing, and you had to do it again. And that was the start of it, yeah. But then after the first, that one episode, they asked me to come back as a regular, and I said, yeah, I'd love to.
And I mean, it was clever how they actually wrote you in to become a regular with working at the Solana and, Potato, as you called him at the time. He didn't know what to think of Lesley. But then you two actually had this kind of strange double act going on throughout the series where you grew to love each other, look after each other, and have each other's best interests at heart. I mean,
Yeah.
working together with Mateo, Jake, who played Mateo, did you just have a natural chemistry? Did it feel kind of organic to you?
Oh, well, he's a sweetheart. He's a lovely, lovely man, And yeah, they formed this friendship. I mean, Lesley does all the work, and I think Mateo's a lot cleverer than Lesley really, so he uses him, but he needs Lesley around. And yeah, they eventually become great friends. Yeah, but a fantastic actor to work with, as we're all. Very similar to Healy's Impact, a big happy family. I think it always comes over on screen, the actors are happy at the job. The camera doesn't miss that.
I mean, for me, I've had so many favourite Les moments, from singing Lady Gaga Poker Face to when they had the Olympic team, the diving team staying, and then the dance didn't go on, and then you come out in your outfit and put on a show. I mean, when you read some of the scripts, did you ever think, oh my God, how am I going to go out there and do this?
Well, it's just great. It was just fun in the sun,
Yeah.
It got quite difficult for me after a while, to be honest with you, dressed in that gear, with a bra and, and rollerblades and a wig on, and could be 44 degrees. One day it was 44 degrees, and you'd be out there for 12 hours, and I used to get really jealous because all the other characters could just dive in the pool at lunchtime. I wasn't allowed in because it was a 45-minute makeup job. So I want to go in the pool, But other than the costume, it was fantastic.
Well, I was going to ask, with the show, obviously, you would go out there for a set amount of time to film. So was it almost like a holiday each year as well? Did you get time to have to yourself and enjoy out there? Or was it kind of just work, work, work?
Work. Well, I mean, certainly not a holiday. I mean, we would start at 7:30 in the morning, and then we finish at 7:30 at night. And then, of course, you got to learn your lines that night for the next morning. And we work 6 days on and only have Sunday off. So it wasn't a holiday, but it was fantastic fun. And great to get away in April, from England to get some nice weather. But by the time we got into August, it was unbearably hot. And, that's why they say mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. You never see a Spanish person out, middle of the day. We'd have the full crew out there, outside in this sun. So it was hard work, but great fun.
I mean, the show obviously was one of the great comedy shows that have been around in recent years. But what I loved about Les was he had an ability to get the audience involved, and we'd almost give our hearts to you, because the scenes that you would have with Liam, for example, it was so magical. There was a moment where Les felt like he might be embarrassing Liam, and he took him out dressed in man's clothes and was drinking a pint of Guinness, and there was a moment between you where he kind of said, I love you for who you are, and you gave those moments where people could relate to, and it almost took it away from being a comedy to just, this was really pleasant to watch.
Well, that's all down to Darren. Darren Litton is a fantastic writer, young writer, and make them. Well, that's what they say. Make them laugh, make them cry. Anything that's going to be good. Hopefully you can do that. And yes, very, very moving moments. Another moment when he comes back. He's been away for a year, and he comes back, and the two of them sing. Him and Tony sing.
Welcome home.
Which wasn't a dry eye in the house. I remember the editor saying to me, "Oh, Tim, I'm just cutting this together. It's making me cry." This was the editor of the show, cutting it together. So yeah, there were quite poignant moments there. It's big miss actually. But all good things come to an end, I suppose.
I mean, talking about that scene you just mentioned, that's when it started off kind of funny because you had Kenneth playing the part of Lenny Peters, and he was up there, he had his glasses on, and you kind of found it funny. But then when Liam actually came back and then Les realizes his son's back, again, that was one of those moments that people just loved. But with Benidorm, you always get critics when you're on a show, and a lot of people say they felt the show changed when the Garveys left Benidorm. Now, what are your thoughts on the decision to actually have them not be in the show? Because they were fan favourites. They've been in it from the start. Did you think that was a risk at the time?
Like anything, you could say the same with Ovidius imperative. If always and Bomber left, you would think, oh, what's happened to the two of them? I mean, they created the whole thing, but I think what made it real was the fact it's a hotel, in hotels you have new people coming in all the time. That was the fantastic thing about Benidorm. That's why we could bring all these brilliant new people in every year. It needs to be fresh, If something is running for that length of time, 10 years is a long time to do the same comedy. And the fact that it was a hotel, the doors were open for new people. That's why we got fantastic guests coming in. And I think that Steve and the rest of the cast, that left, it had enough by then. They've done a lot of episodes. I didn't come in till series 3 as a regular. So we've all done about the same amount of episodes over the years, I think they were a big miss, because their characters were fantastic. Well, like I said, things have to move on.
Now, with the show, I mean, it's definitely one of those comedy shows that has still got legs. And I think after a couple of years break, it would be very welcome to be back on our screens. If they decide to bring the show back, would that be something that you would definitely be up for being part of again?
Oh, I'm sure I would. Yeah, I'm sure I would. I miss it, actually. I've been very lucky. That's the thing. I've always been lucky. I've never really been to work. That's the thing. Since 1969, that was my last job. It's my hobby. This whole thing is just a hobby for me, and I would do it for now. I mean, I wouldn't tell a BBC that. It's my hobby, And my last job, sadly, I think we would have been starting to get together now because we were hoping to wind up still open all hours. Because David Jason's character was going to get married, because they just got engaged, and it was looking like there might be 2 weddings with Gaspard getting married to Madge, and it looked like that was going to happen. But sadly, this virus has affected everybody, and it's sort of slowed everything down, hasn't it? But I'm just sitting here waiting for the next job. That's normal. That's the thing about being an actor. You never know when the next one's going to come in. But I've been thinking like that since 1973. That may be my last job, but another one comes in, So I've been very lucky.
I wanted to talk about Still Open All Hours because I've always been a huge fan of Sir David Jason. He's someone that I've studied. I've watched everything that he's been in. And again, it's always been my dream to interview him. I know he's very private. It's never happened. But when I heard they were bringing back Still Open All Hours, it was a shock because the show was so popular, obviously, with Ronnie Barker. It's one of those moments you thought to yourself, how are they going to do this? How is it going to work with such a big part missing? And what I loved about it is when you watched Open All Hours, you had Granville, who was the kind of the young lad. He wasn't nothing like Arkwright. He wasn't tight. He wasn't like, trying to make money here, there, and everywhere. But in Still Open All Hours, he's almost become Arkwright. He's got the trying to make money, and it's really clever how they've done that. I mean, did you watch the show? When years ago when it was on the original?
Oh, yeah, huge fan. Yeah, I was always a huge fan of them both. David is a little, 10 years older than me, so I watched them from being a little lad. Ronnie Barker, I've always found fantastic. I mean, he's a genius, comedy genius, I would say. And I remember my first day on the set, actually walking onto that set. There's a photograph of him, and it's one of these photographs follows you wherever you go, And I saw him on the set, and he's looking at me as if to say, "What are you doing on my set?" And I was like, "Oh, there's Ronnie staring at me. He doesn't want me here." You know what I mean? But yeah, and I think there's a great feeling of warmth between David looking at the photograph all the time, and reminiscing about him. We talk about him all the time, so he's still there, really. He's still there in the show. He's talking about the till. The till is him, really. You know what I mean? It's the same till as we all. It's the same shop, and yeah, very clever the way they've just handed it down. And I take my hat off to David, because when you think about the amount of work he has to at his age, he doesn't mind me saying this, but when Ronnie Barker played the part, and they're very similar, like you said, in the fact, they drive the whole piece. Well, Ronnie was 50, and David is just turned 80. Yeah. I tell you what, he's got a lot of energy, and he's a stalwart and a fantastic man. He's a joy to work with.
I mean, obviously, with the show, the shop is part of the legacy, and I know it's a hairdresser's, isn't it? And it's the outside of the shop that they use. So when you saw that for the first time, was it kind of like, this is weird being on this street, seeing the shop, because I watched this years ago, and to actually now be part of it, and you've been a series regular, you've been in every episode of the new series. So was it kind of a surreal moment looking around, thinking, "Wow, I'm actually here. I'm working with Sir David"?
Oh yeah. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, the hairdresser shop in Doncaster, it's only used for the street shops, where we're in the street. And then we walk into the shop, and as soon as you shut the door or walk through the door, first of all, we're at Teddington, where we filmed there for a couple of years, and we moved to Pinewood, So the actual big shop is on set, in Pinewood. But there's a little tiny area behind the door as you walk in off the street, and extraordinary being in there, And I just felt so very lucky, flattered to be part of something that's been a fantastic series over the years, And
I've noticed as well with Sir David, he's always been one of those actors that will eat a bacon sandwich, or he's always got to be eating or doing something. Do you know why that is? Is that something that, because he does it in whether you watch Frost, Fools and Horses, he was always eating. Now, I guess that must just be his style of acting.
No, it's just him. It's like that when the sandwiches come out half time. Kind of get a sandwich because of it.
No, honestly, it's been growing up watching you on various shows, and a lot of them I've loved, like Waterloo Road, and seeing you in them. You've always been such a great actor. And what I wanted to do was actually test you a little bit now. So I've done this with a few people that I've interviewed. Martin Clunes was one of them. So I'm going to give you some questions that are all about yourself, and we're going to see how well that you do.
All right.
So they're all about your own career.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, go on.
So
go on then, yeah.
The first one is, what was the name of your character in the children's series Tickle on the Tum?
Barney Bodger.
Correct. In what year did you appear in Minder?
1985.
Close. It was 1984. What was the name of your character in Waterloo Road?
Security Dave.
Correct. How many episodes of Coronation Street did you appear in?
All together,
Yeah.
7.
So it was 7 as one character, as Brian.
And
then,
one is the bingo caller. Yeah,
correct, yeah.
in 1976.
Yeah. You got very good. You
And
starred.
I heard down there was like a part-time hippie. It was a weekend hippie.
I need to try and find that clip now just so I can see it. I have to find it on the repeats.
Yeah.
You starred as Mike Fiddler in which comedy show?
Phoenix Nights.
Correct.
Good.
And the other one we've got here is in which series? I think you've already answered this actually in the interview, but in which series did Lesley first make their appearance in Benidorm?
Series 3.
Correct. You appeared in every episode of Alvida Same Pet, but how many episodes were there in total?
40.
Correct. And your last question, you played Paul King in which TV series?
Oh, Paul King. Dead Man Weds.
Correct. You know, out of everyone I've interviewed, you've done the best with the questions about yourself. Martin Clune's got 1 right out of all of his.
Oh, well, he's done a lot more work than me, you see. I mean,
So how are you keeping busy during this lockdown? Because it's a weird time for us all at the minute. That sense of freedom that we're used to having, we no longer have. So how are you using the time to keep busy?
I experiment a lot in the kitchen. My wife, bless her, she's in her element because she loves being at home. So she's sort of painted the shed twice.
Wow.
We've planted all sorts of stuff. Peas and broccoli and beetroot and sweet corn and potatoes and carrots and I've been in the kitchen really. I made a spotty dick last week. I made a syrup pudding. I made my first steak and onion pudding for the first time. I love cooking, so I'm sort of like I'm going to do a ham and peas pudding this afternoon, actually, as we speak. So keeping busy and just. I think we're so lucky because the weather's been fantastic, isn't it? Can you imagine what this time would be like if we had all those floods and things, that were going on, and trying to sort of self-isolate and in bad weather. So thank God we're having this fantastic weather. Well, yeah, we're just enjoying the garden. We're lucky enough to have a little garden. So yeah, keep us busy and keep laughing. That's the main thing if you can,
I said I wouldn't mind being in lockdown in your house from the sounds of it. Mealies from Healy, cooking all those recipes. Yeah, I'd definitely be up for that.
Yeah.
One thing I did quickly want to speak to you about, we never see you take part in some reality TV shows. Now, do you reckon we would ever see you on the Strictly dance floor? Is that something you would ever consider doing?
No. I was asked to do MasterChef, actually, which would have been filming now. But no, I've been asked to be in Celebrity Big Brother, and they've asked me to do The Jungle, and they've asked me to do all of these things, but it's not really my bag. It's not what I do, I'm an actor, really, and I just and the older I get, the more comedy I do, the better, because the days of getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and crying and getting upset, and it's hard work, to immerse yourself into parts like that. I'm just very, very lucky to be in probably the oldest cast in Britain, still having a laugh every day.
I've got to say, for me to actually interview you has just been an absolute pleasure. And as I said to you before, I love your shows, and not only just you as an actor, you as a person seem as such a nice, genuine person. Last year, you were kind enough to send a lovely recording for my wedding. So I do want to thank you for giving me your time and celebrate your career with you. It's been brilliant.
That's it. You've got to get married, you can't expect to go through life being happy.
Yeah.
Terrible. Sorry about that. You had a nice wedding, didn't you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. And like I said, it was nice to get the message from you. And it's nice to actually get to interview you today and actually talk about your fantastic career, which it's still going strong, and you're still working on a great comedy show.
God bless you. It's been my pleasure, and lots of love to your wife. And I hope you're very happy forever. And keep loving each other, even if you fall out. I think that's the message. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a row, you fall out. You know, we all do, but keep loving each other. That's what we've got to do at the moment. Everybody, I think. You know, God bless you. My pleasure.